Speaker, my question, why does this government place cabinet secrecy ahead of the national interest in health? Why does it place the political security of Liberal politicians ahead of the security of Canada's blood supply?
Its cost to a minimum.
Simply by using a resource that the taxpayer already pays for, inmates.
Arizona Department of Corrections North Region Operations Director Ivan Bartos says that although the program has been around for several decades, government agencies are using inmate labor more in recent years due to the state's budget crunch.
Using inmate labor in the community is nothing.
Excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now,
news coverage. Guys, thank you so much for coming on my channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, hey. If you haven't hit the subscription, go ahead and do that now, because this channel is about to get real. We're about to explore what is happening, what went down in history, and what is affecting our communities today. So guys, what exactly is slavery? Is the 13th Amendment rights a gateway to slavery? Did Abraham Lincoln trick Black people? How slavery impact us today? So guys, stay tuned if you really want to know what's going on, because we need to know, right? We need answers. So let's go. So let's take a look at what slavery really means. Slavery, condition in which one human being was owned by another. A slave was considered by law as property or chattel and was deprived of most of the rights and held by a free person. So basically, it does not mention color, because at the end of the day, every race went through slavery. So there were white slaves, there were Indian slaves. Everybody went through things in history, and I'm not saying, hey, someone pain is not, important, but I just want to say that slavery is not about the color of your skin. It's by someone who is a free person who owns you, and now you become their property. So now if this person tells you, hey, you got to go do this, then you have to go do this. If this person said, hey, you got to work at the cotton fields for me for free, you're going to have to do that. By law, you belong to them. So that's what slavery really means. So as a slave, you have no rights. You can't vote. You can't really do nothing. You just got to listen to your master, the free man who owns you. That's what slavery is. So let's look at the 13th Amendment rights and what it states. So neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party should have been duly convicted, should exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So you see, there's a problem with this right here. Okay, the problem is when I say except as a punishment for crime whereof, that means that basically if a person gets convicted and they go to jail, basically they're a slave to the states. That's what it is. They're a slave to the states. They have no freedom. They have to go and do whatever the state tells them to do. So if the state tells them, hey, you need to go pick up cotton in a cotton field, then these prisoners have to do it. Because if not, there's always consequences with these people. So guys, I thought that going to jail or prison was a punishment already. Like, you're giving up your freedom and your time. But also, when you make someone work at gunpoint, because a lot of people don't know this, there's a prison in Louisiana that they are holding inmates at pointing guns at them in the head and telling them where and what they got to do, and they were in the cotton fields. So they also have these inmates working and for companies and corporations getting paid 15 cents an hour. So you know what I'm saying? When it says except as a punishment, that's the part that needs to be changed, because, for example, a lot of Black people kept going to jail, and they kept making up laws and stupid little laws for to to put black people in jail. And right now, there's a lot of people who are in jail. So let's look at who created this part, okay? So Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. As the nation approached its third year of the bloody Civil War, the proclamation declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious state are the henceforward should be free. So this is my opinion. Please don't hate me for it. We all have the rights to feel a certain way and have our own opinions. And I'm going to say mine because, I have my free will and I will do what I want. So guys, modern day prison labor in the United States is rooted in the 13th Amendment rights of the United States Constitution has created a system of slavery that are more comfortable with, that we're more comfortable with. So basically, it's a loophole to slavery. We forgot to look at what slavery really means. You know what I'm saying? When a person loses their freedom and they're already in prison, I thought that was the punishment already. But when they're creating more laws to incarcerate people, that's the problem. Right now, the United States, we are the country that's leading with the most people who are in prison. And not only that, but the United States is the one who has the most harsh laws, like, you know what I'm saying? And the most time. So what happened is that rather than saying like, okay, well, this person is not a slave anymore, but if this person goes to jail or whatever, then that person is a slave. But when you're targeting a specific race, like for example, I'm going to do a video about this, but the crime bill, I don't really respect that because right now we have 2.3 million Black people in prison. You know what I'm saying? And that's 2.3 million slaves right now, and not just Black people. So you imagine all the other cultures. So modern day slavery is still here. And I feel like Abraham Lincoln, I feel like he really wasn't helping Black people. He was tricking them. And why I say tricking is because if you believe that you're free, then you're not going to fight for freedom. But if you are fighting for freedom, then you believe that you're not free. So we believe that we're free, but we're not free because the court has jurisdiction over us. You know what I'm saying? Right now, we're all legal names. And right now, God forbid, I go to prison, I go to jail, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to become the slave of the state. And that's what basically being incarcerated is. You're becoming a slave of the states. If the state's telling you, you need to go do this right now, you need to go do that right now. If the state's telling you, you need to go, like I said, pick up cotton in the cotton fields, you need to go pick up that cotton in the cotton field. So I feel like, and now that we have the crime bill that, one of our great evil president created, Bill Clinton. I'm not too happy with that man right there. So guys, don't keep saying pray. You keep blaming Bill Clinton for everything. But guys, Bill Clinton and Joe Biden was the one who created the crime bill. And I don't want to be the person who, messed up the story. But, what happened was they filled our neighborhoods with drugs, especially the Black neighborhoods. And what they did was, after everything went chaotic, now the government always have a solution. So the crime bill guys came through, and 85% of people who were getting arrested were Black people who put away for life were Black people. It was to the point that people started questioning, hey, wait, what's going on? I thought this was why is there more Black people going to prison and spend the rest of their life for minor crimes? Right now, we have people serving life for marijuana. You know what I'm saying? We have people who would never see their family because of this crime bill. And I'm sorry to say this, but we are paying for these prisons. So that means we are conducting, and we're the one, you know what I'm saying? That's what we're doing right now. When you go to jail or you go to prison, you become a slave. So if there's more Black people who are being targeted by the system, and I'm not going to say by the white man, it's by the system. Who's behind the system? That's the problem. Because last time I remember, the person who created the crime bill, if you look him up, there's a lot of scandals that this man used to sell. He used to be in the drugs deal department. You know what I'm saying? So how dare you put away a person for life and you also were in the drug department world? And then not only that, but you fill the neighborhoods with drugs. You fill and infected the whole world with HIV, and now you have a solution. Guys, we really need to look into this because accept could change a lot. And right now, there is 2.3 million Black people in prison. That's 2.3 million slaves of the system. So guys, you be the judge. Did Abraham Lincoln have great intentions, or the system found a loophole? That's what we need to really think about.
It's a lot of work to keep the state capitol in tip-top shape. But the state of Arizona has found a way to keep maintenance costs to a minimum.
Simply by using a resource that the taxpayer already pays for, inmates.
Arizona Department of Corrections North Region Operations Director Ivan Bartos says that although the program has been around for several decades, government agencies are using inmate labor more in recent years due to the state's budget crunch.
Using inmate labor in the community is nothing new, actually, but given the current state of the state's budget, we're able to actually offset a lot of those lost revenues by using inmate labor and help these other agencies.
Bartos explains that the low costs come from paying low wages to the inmates, which are capped at 50 cents per hour by state law, along with the fact that the Department of Corrections charges other state agencies very little for the service.
I know that we do receive some compensation depending on the agreement, but in many cases we have crews, for example, the governor's clean sweep crews, which the agency receives no funds.
The inmates who work around the Capitol are within a few months from being released from prison, and Bartos says that the department selects inmates for its outside work programs very carefully.
Typically, our inmates are not only minimum custody, but they're also screened for suitability to perform work outside of the confines of a prison unit.
Bartos says that inmates enjoy getting out and working, and that they view it as a way to reacclimate themselves to life outside the prison walls. In addition to working outside, inmates do a variety of other jobs as needed.
Well, certainly we runs the gamut from outside landscaping, painting, moving, offices, as agencies have downsized to some extent.
Bartos expects to see a large number of agencies utilizing the inmates' variety of skills as the state's budget troubles continue. For ACTV Monthly, Patrick Walker.
So guys, you seen the last video. Let's talk about it. Well, let me talk about it. All right, so we've seen that they're talking about, they're trying to keep costs down, and it's always something that we need more. They need more and more and more and more. You know what I'm saying? More taxes, more this, more that. But my thing is, I'm not seeing where these taxes are going. Where are these taxes going? Where's everything going? First of all, we have people sleeping outside. We have families in their cars outside the gym and in parking lots. We have people who can't afford to eat today. We have people who are 75 years old still working. I've seen a few security guards and they was like 75 years old. And I'm just like, oh, man, I'm not trying to be mean, but I was like, what's she supposed to defend? Somebody pushes her, you know what I'm saying? Poor lady or poor guy. You know what I mean? Like, we have people out here trying to survive. And right now, it's like, what is really going on? All these people, let's call them slaves, because at the end of the day, we established in the 13th Amendment of rights, it said, if you're being punished, this don't apply to you. This law don't apply to you. It'll apply to people who are not in jail. You know what I'm saying? Who hasn't been prosecuted. And my thing is, like, we already know how the system is. You know, look how much people waiting to prove they're innocent. You know what I'm saying? So the problem with the system is that people don't have money like that, and they get free, what's it called, public defenders. These people don't have the best interest. A lot of them know that people be innocent, but what they do is they be like, please, just take this plea bargain, because if not, if you go to trial, you're gonna get 30 years, you're gonna get 40 years, and people start getting scared. So they put the fear that they're gonna do 30 years, and people like, oh, I'd rather do probation, I don't care, you know. And now what that does is it closes a lot of doors to people. First of all, when you're convicted of a crime, it's hard to find a job. Nobody wants to give you a place to live unless you find a private landlord or whatever, you know. And there is people that come out of prison and they have nobody. So what do you expect these people to do? They got to survive. So they be like, all right, release. You guys going to be coming back. I already know. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because there's no rehabilitation going on right now. They don't even try to make these inmates better people for society. They just keep giving them time. Here, you get 40 years, you get 50 years, you get 30 years. But who is paying for these people to be here for 30 years? You know what I'm saying? That's just like, it's like basically using the law to take advantage and manipulate people into slavery. You know, what's that giving somebody 30, 40 years because let's say that they got caught with drugs? But we're not talking about the people who killed and he continued killing people. What about them? Why they're not in prison? Why they're not in death row? Why they're not being executed? Why? 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 Because the law don't apply to these people? You know what I'm saying? It don't apply to them. And I'm not going to sit here, like I said, racism and slavery is not about color. So look at how much people right now, or look at the little circle, you guys see some of these charges are not even like, I understand there's people out there who deserve to be in prison and stuff, but there's people out there who are rapists and getting less time than a drug dealer. That's something I don't understand, and I know why. Because unfortunately, human beings, which we are not considered human beings. Go look at a law book. You don't see nothing saying human beings. You see legal corporation. You don't see somebody calling you in the law book or in the courtroom calling you by your name. They're calling you by your legal name. So they don't care. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that we really need to start working on. And I say we is because we as a whole is what's going to change the system. The system is broken. And I'm not going to say, oh, the system is racist because it only attacks, black people or their system is just the system is racist, it's prejudice if you don't have money. It's all about money. If you got money, like Bill Clinton, let's say, you could get away with killing over 1 million people and you still are free, a free man still walking around, and you killed intentionally. But there's people, let's say, for example, there've been people who went to jail for poisoning one person, for intentionally causing something, premeditated murder. I probably said it wrong, don't judge me. But anyways, there's people doing life, and then you're telling me you knew that you were killing people and you continue, and then you took it to another country. Why is the law, why are they above the law? No one should be above the law, and that's the problem. That I'm like the Abraham Lincoln. I understand. I like that he try to help. I don't know if he did it with great intentions, but there's a little loophole right now that the system is using to keep slaves. So right now, when you tell somebody, hey, you're gonna spend 30 years in prison, that's a 30-year-old slave that's gonna be in the fields right now, because they do have people in plantation working in the fields, picking up cotton, like slavery, guys. So, how do slavery impact us today? This is how it impacts us. You know what I'm saying? People are in prison. Another way is that now, if they're trying to turn black people against white people and making us all fight, saying, oh well, black people, white people this, white people that, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but white people was the one that was fighting for the freedom. Like I said, Abraham Lincoln, I don't know his intentions. I don't know if he meant well, but he left a little loophole there that we need to close. You know what I'm saying? That little loophole that say except, that needs to be closed. Because, for example, even when somebody's in prison, and let's say you're paying this person 50 cents, how do you expect them to have a life when they come out of prison? Why don't you just pay them? If you're going to have these people working, pay them the right amount. And you know what? Put it on a savings, so when they do come out of prison, they got money to survive and money to start a life again. But when you really having people, you're kicking them in the face, how do you expect for the system to get better? You know what I'm saying? It's never going to get better till the system is changed. We need to change the system. It's not working. So another thing is, like, now they try to make it seem like only black people were slaves. And when you go to school, they try to teach you that only black people were slaves, but every race was a slave. You know what I'm saying? So now you have black people mad at white people, and not. I love everyone, and I'm not gonna sit here and be like, well, why? You know what I'm saying? No, white people are not really evil. There is some evil one, like the politicians. But I swear, all these politicians are evil. They don't give a crap. They're working for Satan. You know what I'm saying? Democrat, demon. It starts in the name. Every issue, and I'm not trying to get political, but every issue that ever went down in history came from Democrats. But what I'm trying to say is, like, we need to do better as society. Why? Because we're fighting each other. At the end of the day, we're the one who has to be with each other. Your neighbor, if she's white, why would you hate her if you be like, oh, well, my ancestors were slaves? But, well, you know what? Right now, if you really, really want to fight for your ancestors, this is how it starts, right here. Right here. Because slavery never finished. It's always been here, but with a different form, a different system. You know what I'm saying? So if people really do care about slavery, like, oh, my ancestor was slaves, they was in the cotton field. Right now, we have people in the cotton field, okay? So these are the people that we need to go rescue. These are the people that, you know what I'm saying, we have to stand for. I'm gonna say, like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, this, you know, these inmates are really good people, but I'm saying fairness is fairness. There's people who are just there for minor crimes, and when they do come out, they got records, they got this, so they're gonna continue going back to jail. So, guys, that's how it's affecting us today. Slavery is still here, and it's just called jail.
Largest maximum security prison in the country. Right now, there are 6,300 prisoners. The majority are murderers. You have rapists. You have people who've committed assault, drug felonies.
How long are you here for? Next 40 years? What was the charge? 4 counts?
Roughly 75% of the prisoners are here serving life sentences without the possibility of parole. Louisiana has some of the toughest sentencing laws in the country, and these guys are not going home. For most of its history, Angola has been a fearsome place, but in recent years it's become relatively docile. People credit the warden, Burl Cain, who's this very unlikely character, of devising a way to get Angola under control.
I'm Burl Cain. I'm the warden of Louisiana State Penitentiary. I've been the warden here about 20 and a half years.
When you got this job, what did you find when you came up here?
There was blood, there was stabbing, there was fighting, and it was totally out of control. It was every man for himself. I realized pretty quick in my career that moral people don't rape, pilfer, and steal. Moral people aren't criminals. And so the best thing I could do real quickly was to get this place as moral as I could, and it would curb the violence.
How do you impose morality on a population that is 3/4 murderers serving life sentences without the possibility of parole?
Well, the basic thing was they were hopeless. It was hopelessness. With the life sentence, there's no hope you're going to ever get out. And so the moral rehabilitation caused the hope. To learn to work is basic rehabilitation. Many of them never worked in their life. They just stole. The guy that's driving the $250,000 combine is an inmate making 20 cents an hour. That's meaningful work for them.
I've been here since 2008. I got a second-degree murder charge.
What's it like the first day when the prison comes to you and says, okay, now you're working?
Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Guys, thank you so much for staying to the end. If you haven't hit the subscription, go ahead and do that right now. Hit the notification so when I do come out with some new videos, you guys be the first one. Because on this channel, we're the Marias. We're going to be behind the blinds, like creeping in there. We're trying to figure out what is going on. We're not going to sit back no more. So we're going to investigate what is causing problems in our communities and how things are affecting us today. So guys, the 13th Amendment right now, your 14th Amendment right is not really working. It's a loophole right here. I feel like it's modern day slavery. I feel like, you know, slavery was changed to jail and prison or harsh punishment. As you can see, it excludes prisoners from the 14th Amendment rights. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, they don't have no rights to vote, no rights for their opinions, no rights for nothing. So, but they do take taxes. You know what I'm saying? When they do start working, the government is they cut. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, guys, it all starts and ends with us. We are here to make sure that God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Have a great one.